The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus said to his disciples, "When you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, know that its desolation is at hand. Then those in Judea must flee to the mountains. Let those within the city escape from it, and let those in the countryside not enter the city. For these days are the time of punishment, when all the scriptures are fulfilled. Woe to pregnant women and nursing mothers in those days, for a terrible calamity will come upon the earth, and a wrathful judgment upon this people. They will fall by the edge of the sword and be taken as captives to all the Gentiles. And Jerusalem will be trampled underfoot by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. There will be signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars, and on earth nations will be in dismay, perplexed by the roaring of the sea and the waves. People will die of fright in anticipation of what is coming upon the world. For the powers of the heavens will be shaken, and then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. But when these signs begin to happen, stand erect and raise your hands, because your redemption is at hand." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Thank you is probably one of the first things that we're taught to say. And I found that the things that we learn to do as little kids, sometimes they become a little bit automatic. Sometimes you start to take them for granted. Certain things that don't come to full maturity like they ought to. I think gratitude might be one of those things sometimes. Thinking about like a parallel here to kind of develop my idea. Forgiveness. When we're little kids, if you do something wrong, you just say, "I'm sorry." And then the person's supposed to say, "Oh, okay, I forgive you." And then you're just supposed to act like it never happened. And when you're a little kid and life is really that simple, you can kind of make the other person whole again pretty easily, right? Like, "He took my toy." Well, give the toy back, right? Now, we're good? Okay, we're moving on. And obviously life gets more complicated. And so forgiveness for something that's causes deeper injury is more difficult, takes more time, more of a process. Gratitude is kind of like that. We say thank you all the time. But I wonder if we say it with real gratitude. Sometimes it's really easy just to pay lip service with those words, to show thanks for one thing or another because you're supposed to say it. Somebody finished waiting on your table, or they did something nice for you. "Oh, hey, thanks." But I think it would do us well to be more intentional about our practice of gratitude. First, with God. How often do we ask for things from God? I oftentimes will ask folks, "What's your prayer like?" And they'll tell me the times of day that they pray. So, "What do you do when you pray?" "Well, I ask God for things I need, for my life, for my family, for the people that I care about." Good. Keep doing that. It's an important way to pray. Sometimes they follow it up with thanking God for the blessings that they've received. You can't really have one of those without the other. So to come before God with really grateful hearts, hearts truly filled with gratitude and expressing that gratitude appropriately is so important, especially as often as we ask God for things. How strange would it be to have a relationship where all you do is ask for things from someone? It becomes very utilitarian. It's not very personal. It'd be a very lopsided relationship, especially if the other person wasn't allowed to ask things from you. We also open our hearts in gratitude to God, you've done so much for me, what can I do for you? Rather than just allowing things to remain one-sided, we have to look for how can we make our relationships reciprocal. First with God. Another good practice there is, one of my favorite penances to give people is to go and write like a list of things that they're grateful for. To tell God, thank you for 25 things. And I've never had anybody go, 25 things? They've always been like, oh yeah, I can do that. Or if they kind of like, what? Listen, it can be the smallest of small things or the biggest of big things. But to find things to show gratitude to God for. It's good for our relationship with Him. It's also good for our relationship with each other. Lastly, I would want to add that for as much emphasis is being put on how strange a year it is, and when we look at today's readings, as we come to the end of ordinary time, like the picture that's painted for us, pretty bleak. We have an awful lot to be grateful for. And I think one kind of home remedy, if you will, for things like a sort of burdensome, oppressive heaviness, or even, I'm no kind of like counseling psychologist. I can't diagnose these things or prescribe treatment for them, but something like mild depression, a practice of actively being grateful for the good things in life certainly can't hurt. Let's allow today, in the midst of kind of this year where we've done, probably all of us, our fair share of complaining or focusing on the things that are making life difficult, to really allow our hearts to just dwell in gratitude. I was getting ready the other day, starting to try to do some meal prep and things like this for some guests that I'm having, and I was starting to get a little bit stressed about it. And I was talking to my mom on the phone, and we both kind of said, like, we should allow this to be the most peaceful Thanksgiving ever. We should just let it be that, right? Instead of like making ourselves neurotic over small details. So I would invite you to join with us in having the most peaceful, grateful Thanksgiving.